Welcome back to the Behavior Code. I'm Maria, and as always, I'm here with Gabriel.
Hey everyone. So, Maria, I want to start with a question for you and for everyone listening. Do you ever have that feeling, that nagging sense that you're just constantly behind?
Oh, constantly. It's like no matter what I accomplish, the to do list just grows. And then you open up Instagram or LinkedIn, and it feels like everyone else is launching a new business or running a marathon or, I don't know, renovating a French chateau in their spare time.
Right, the French chateau, and that's the one. And with that comes this immense pressure. It feels like if you're not hustling 24/7, you're failing.
Exactly. And it even seeps into our downtime. You finally get a chance to relax, maybe watch a movie, and there's this little voice in the back of your head saying, you could be using this time to get ahead. It's exhausting.
The guilt when resting, that's a huge one. So, to everyone listening right now, does any of this sound familiar? That feeling that you're just not doing enough? If it does, stick around because today we're diving into the psychology behind that feeling and what you can actually do about it.
Yeah, let's unpack this. So, where does this feeling even come from, Gabe? Why do so many of us feel like we're perpetually on a treadmill we can't get off of?
Well, it's a mix of things, really. But a massive piece of the puzzle is what psychologists call social comparison theory. We are fundamentally wired to determine our own social and personal worth by comparing ourselves to others. It's a really complex cultural and psychological knot we tied ourselves into. I think one of the biggest drivers is comparison culture. We are fundamentally wired to determine our own social and personal worth by comparing ourselves to others. And in the past, that was a manageable instinct. You compared yourself to your neighbors, your colleagues, the people in your town. The pool was limited.
And that's not new, right? People have always compared themselves to their neighbors, but social media just put that on steroids.
Exactly. The pool was limited. You had a pretty good idea what normal looked like because you could see it. You saw your neighbor's car, not a curated feed of luxury vehicles from around the world. You knew the local business owner struggled sometimes. It was a more grounded reality. Exactly. The pool was limited. You had a pretty good idea of what normal looked like because you could see it. You saw your neighbor's car, not a curated feed of luxury vehicles from around the world. You knew the local business owner struggled sometimes. It was a more grounded reality on hyper steroids because now your neighbor is a curated feed of the most successful, beautiful, and seemingly perfect people from around the globe. You're not comparing your real life to their real life. You're comparing your behind the scenes chaos to their highlight reel.
That's such a good way to put it, the highlight reel. And then there's the whole productivity obsession, this idea that every minute has to be optimized. You should be learning a language while you cook dinner, listening to a business podcast on your commute, and it's not just that it's a highlight reel, it's that the algorithm is designed to show you the most extreme highlights. It actively amplifies the most unrealistic comparisons.
Right, the cult of productivity. It sells us this narrative that busyness equals worthiness. And if you're not busy, you're not valuable. It pushes us to seek external validation, likes, promotions, praise, as proof that we're doing enough.
Totally. And the problem with external validation is that the goalposts are always moving. You get the promotion you wanted, and for a week you feel great. Then you're immediately looking at the next rung on the ladder. The satisfaction is so fleeting.
Exactly. It's an unwinnable game. You're chasing a horizon that moves away from you as you approach it. So, you have this cocktail of comparison culture, productivity obsession, and constantly moving goalposts. It's the perfect recipe for feeling like you're never, ever enough. And we've all been there. I remember I was working towards this one specific career goal for years. I told myself, once I hit this milestone, I'll be happy. I'll feel like I've made it. And then I did it. And for about 48 hours, I felt on top of the world. Then Monday came around and it was just gone. The goalpost didn't just move, it vanished, and the new one appeared 10 miles down the road. It was a really hollow feeling. And we've all been there. I remember I was working towards this one specific career goal for years. I told myself, once I hit this milestone, I'll be happy. I'll feel like I've made it. And then I did it. And for about 48 hours, I felt on top of the world. Then Monday came around and it was just gone. The goalpost didn't just move, it vanished, and a new one appeared 10 miles down the road. It was a really hollow feeling.
Okay, so that's the environment we're in. It makes total sense. But what's happening inside our brains that makes us so susceptible to this? What's the deeper psychology at play here? That is such a universal feeling, and it's because we've been taught to equate achievement with happiness. We think that if we just get that one more thing, we'll finally be content. But our brains don't work that way. The reward system is designed to keep us striving, not to let us rest. It's an evolutionary feature that has gone haywire in our modern world of infinite choice and comparison. It's like we've gamified our lives in the worst way. We're collecting achievements and checking boxes, but we've forgotten to ask if we even want the prize. It's productivity for the sake of productivity, not for the sake of a better life. It's funny, we treat our brains like they're machines that should never power down. We've forgotten that rest is not the opposite of work, it's a part of it. It's the part that allows for creativity, for new ideas to surface. We're so focused on the doing that we've completely lost the art of being.
This is where it gets really interesting. One of the biggest concepts is something called the hedonic treadmill, or hedonic adaptation.
I think I've heard of this. It's the idea that humans have a kind of baseline level of happiness, right?
Precisely. So when something good happens, like getting that promotion, your happiness spikes, but then it quickly returns to that baseline. The same thing happens with bad events. We adapt. So we're constantly chasing the next thing to get that temporary happiness boost, but the feeling never lasts. We're running on a treadmill, putting in all this effort, but staying in the same emotional place.
Wow, that explains the moving goalposts feeling perfectly. And I imagine this is even worse for people who are, naturally ambitious or high achievers.
Oh, absolutely. The high achiever mindset is a double-edged sword. You're driven, which is great, but you also tend to set impossibly high standards for yourself. Your good enough is what most people would consider excellent. So you finish a huge project, and instead of celebrating, you're already focused on the 5 things you could have done better. Yeah, it's like a superpower and the curse all at once. I remember when I first started my career, I had this checklist in my head. Get this certification, lead that project, get that promotion. And every time I checked one off, the satisfaction lasted maybe a day. Then my brain would just immediately go, okay, what's next? You're not going to rest now, are you? There was no savor the moment setting. It was just achieve and advance.
It's like your internal benchmark is just broken. And under all that, is there a fear element to it? That is so me. I remember after we won that big award for the show last year, I should have been ecstatic, and I was for maybe an evening. The very next morning, I woke up in a panic thinking, okay, but how do we top that? What's next? I didn't even give myself a full day to just enjoy the win. It's like my brain is allergic to satisfaction. Oh, that is so me. I remember after we won that big award for the show last year, I should have been ecstatic, and I was for maybe an evening. The very next morning, I woke up in a panic thinking, okay, but how do we top that? What's next? I didn't even give myself a full day to just enjoy the win. It's like my brain is allergic to satisfaction.
A huge one, the fear of falling behind, the fear of being irrelevant. In our fast-paced world, if you stand still for a moment, it feels like you'll be left behind in the dust. This creates a low-grade chronic anxiety that pushes us to keep striving, not necessarily for joy or fulfillment, but out of a fear of failure.
Right. So it's not even about moving towards something positive, it's about running away from something negative.
For many people, yes, and eventually this can lead to a really dangerous place where your entire identity becomes tied to your productivity. You aren't a person who does work, you are your work. Your self-worth isn't inherent, it's earned, every single day, by how much you produce. Exactly. It's a defensive posture against a perceived threat of irrelevance. Think about it. The narrative we're sold is one of constant upward growth. A career isn't a journey, it's a ladder. A business isn't a living thing, it's a rocket ship. Any plateau, any moment of rest feels like you're not just standing still, you're actively failing.
And when your identity is that fragile, any perceived failure or even just a day of rest feels like a direct threat to who you are as a person.
That's the trap. It's a psychological prison we build for ourselves. Yeah, and it makes rest feel dangerous. I used to feel that if I took a Saturday off, I mean really off, no emails, no productive hobbies, that I was somehow losing ground, that someone else, somewhere was using that same Saturday to get ahead of me. It's like you're in a race you didn't even know you were running, and the only rule is you can never, ever stop.
Okay, we've mentioned it a few times already, but I think we really need to zoom in on the elephant in the room: social media, because it feels like this invisible pressure has gotten so much more intense in the last decade.
Really has. It's the engine of modern comparison. The core problem, as we touched on, is the highlight reel versus real life dilemma. People are posting their wins, their picture perfect vacations, their promotions. They're not posting the rejections, the arguments, the messy kitchen, the moment of doubt.
Right. Logically, we know this. We all know that what we see online is curated, but emotionally, it's hard not to react to it. When you're having a tough day and you see someone else's curated perfection, it just hits you in the gut. Yeah, and it's not just the comparison, it's the sheer volume of it. I mean, think about it from a historical perspective. For thousands of years, our social circles were, what, a couple hundred at most? Now we're exposed to the curated lives of literally millions of people every single day. Our brains just aren't built to handle that kind of social input. It's like we're constantly measuring ourselves against an impossibly large and unrealistic data set.
It does, because our brains process those images as reality. It creates this illusion that everyone is successful, happy, and productive all the time. It creates a completely skewed baseline for what a normal life looks like. You start to feel like you're the only one who struggles.
Yeah, the only one. That's the isolating part. It makes your personal struggles feel like a personal failing rather than just, a normal part of the human experience.
And it's not just the quality of the content, it's the quantity. Before social media, you might compare yourself to a few colleagues or neighbors. Now you have access to the success stories of millions of people 24/7, delivered straight to the palm of your hand.
The constant exposure. It's like a fire hose of other people's achievements. There's no downtime, no escape. It just wears you down over time, chipping away at your self esteem until you start to believe the story that you're just not doing enough.
It's a feedback loop. You feel bad, so you seek distraction on your phone, where you see things that make you feel worse, which makes you feel more like you need to be productive, which leads to burnout, and the cycle continues. It's a system designed to make us feel inadequate.
So, with all this pressure, both internal and external, how can our listeners know if they've crossed the line from healthy ambition into being genuinely too hard on themselves? Are there some clear signs to look for? It's so true. I literally had to delete a few apps off my phone for a while because I noticed a pattern. On days where I was feeling a bit down or unsure about a project, I would open Instagram and within minutes, I'd feel 10 times worse. I'd see someone announce a new venture that was vaguely similar to mine, and my stomach would just drop. It wasn't motivating me, it was paralyzing me. Taking a break was the only way to hear my own voice again.
Yes, definitely. I think the first and maybe biggest sign is that you never actually celebrate your wins. You accomplish something you've been working on for months, and instead of feeling joy or relief, you just feel nothing. Or worse, you just immediately move the goalpost and focus on the next bigger goal.
Right. There's no pause for satisfaction. The achievement is just a box to be ticked, not an experience to be savored. That's a huge one. Oh, absolutely. I think for me, it was when I finished a massive project, one that I poured my heart into for almost a year. The day it launched, my team was celebrating, popping champagne, and I just felt this void. I wasn't happy, I was just relieved it was over. My brain had already jumped to the next project, worrying about the next deadline. It was a huge wake-up call that my definition of done had become completely warped.
Another sign we already mentioned is feeling intense guilt whenever you're resting. Rest isn't seen as necessary for recovery and performance. It's seen as wasted time. You can enjoy a lazy Sunday because you're mentally calculating all the productive things you should be doing. That's a perfect example, and it highlights how this isn't just a feeling. It has real physiological consequences. When you're constantly in that what's next mode, your body's in a low-grade state of stress. You're never allowing your nervous system to come down and actually repair and recover. It's not just mentally exhausting, it's physically corrosive over time.
That is so relatable. It's like you have to earn your rest, and the criteria for earning it are impossible to meet.
A third sign is that feeling that nothing is ever truly enough. You get a raise, but it's not as big as your colleagues. You finish a workout, but you didn't run as fast as you did last week. There's always a but that negates the positive. You're living in a perpetual state of not quite there yet.
The perfectionism trap. And finally, and this is the one that ties it all together, is that you are constantly, almost obsessively comparing yourself to others. Your mood, your sense of self-worth, it all rises and falls based on how you perceive yourself stacking up against the people you see online or in your life.
That's it. If you're nodding along to these signs, never celebrating, feeling guilty when resting, nothing feeling like enough, and constant comparison, it's a strong indicator that the pressure has become toxic.
Okay, this has been a little heavy. We've laid out the problem, the psychology, the signs. I think everyone listening is probably feeling very seen right now. So let's pivot. Let's spend the rest of our time on the most important part. How do we start to fix this? How do we break the cycle?
All right, the solutions. This is crucial. The first and most fundamental step is to consciously define what success means to you. Not to your parents, not to your boss, not to the influencers you follow, to you.
That's so much harder than it sounds, though. How do you even start?
You get quiet, you grab a journal, and you ask yourself, what would a fulfilling life look like for me, even if no one else ever knew about it? Is it about creative expression? Is it about deep relationships? Is it about peace of mind? You have to detach success from external markers of achievement and tie it to your internal values.
Okay, I love that. Redefining the game so you're playing by your own rules. What's next? That's a journey I've really been on myself. For years, my definition of success was tied to my job title and my salary, very external things. And I realized I was miserable. I had to sit down and ask myself, what does a good day feel like? Not a successful year, a good day. And it was things like having time to read a chapter of a book, going for a walk without my phone, having a real conversation with a friend. My definition of success is so much smaller and quieter now, and it's so much more fulfilling.
Track your own progress. Instead of looking sideways at what others are doing, look backwards at how far you've come. Keep a done list instead of just a to-do list. At the end of the week, write down everything you accomplished, big or small. This retrains your brain to see evidence of your own growth rather than evidence of your own deficits. That's so powerful. It's about shifting from an outcome-based definition of success to a process-based one. It's not about the destination, it's about the quality of the journey. And I think that's a much more resilient way to live because you're not constantly depending on things outside of your control to feel good about your life.
Oh, I started doing this a few months ago, and it's been such a game changer for my weekly review. I used to just look at the tasks I didn't get to, and I'd end every Friday feeling like a failure. But now I write down everything, even answered 50 emails or had a tough conversation I was avoiding. And when I look back at the done list, it's this tangible proof that I am moving forward, even when it doesn't feel like it. It completely changes the narrative.
The done list, yes, that's a game changer. And okay, we have to talk about managing the comparison piece directly. You can't just wish it away. And I have to say, that shift it's not a one and done thing. It's a daily practice. I still have moments where I get sucked back into the old way of thinking, or I see someone else's big win and feel that twinge of I should be doing more. It's like a muscle you have to keep exercising, reminding yourself of your own definition of success when the world is screaming a different one at you. You can't, you have to be proactive. Curate your social media feeds ruthlessly. Unfollow any account that consistently makes you feel bad about yourself. It's not mean, it's mental hygiene. Set time limits on apps, maybe even take a social media detox for a week and see how you feel. Create friction so that comparison isn't your default state. Exactly. It's about shifting your focus from what's left to do to what you've already done. It's a simple cognitive reframing exercise, but it's incredibly powerful. It counteracts that feeling of constantly being behind by providing tangible evidence of your progress. It's like you wouldn't climb a mountain and only focus on how much further you have to go. You'd look back and see how far you've come. The done list is just a way of doing that in your daily life.
Mental hygiene. I like that. It's like weeding a garden. Okay, what else?
Build real confidence through small wins. The feeling of not doing enough often comes from a lack of self-efficacy. So set tiny, achievable goals, so small they seem stupid. Walk for 10 minutes, read 2 pages of a book, drink a glass of water. Each time you do it, you're providing your brain with concrete proof that you are capable and that you can trust yourself. This builds a foundation of confidence from the ground up.
That leads perfectly to my favorite piece of advice here. Focus on consistency, not intensity. The pressure we feel is often to do something huge, something drastic. Run a marathon, write a novel in a month. But real sustainable progress comes from small, consistent actions. A 20-minute walk every day is infinitely better than one heroic 5-hour gym session that leaves you burned out for a month. It sounds so simple, but it really rewires your brain. I started doing this with making my bed. It's the first thing I do. It's tiny, it takes 30 seconds, but it's a completed task. It's proof that I can start the day with a small act of order and intention. And that tiny bit of momentum, it actually carries through. It's not about the bed, it's about the signal you're sending to yourself. I am someone who does what they say they're going to do.
And can we add another strategy? I think it's the final boss of this whole thing. Actively schedule do nothing time. And I don't mean watch Netflix time or scroll social media time. I mean sit on a chair and stare out the window time, or lie on the floor and listen to a song time. It feels impossible at first. Your brain screams at you about all the things you could be doing. But forcing yourself to be unproductive is a revolutionary act. It's the ultimate way to reclaim your time from the cult of productivity.
That is the secret to everything. Consistency over intensity. It's less glamorous, it won't get you a million likes on Instagram, but it's what actually works. It's how you build a life, not just a highlight reel. All right, as we start to wrap up, I just want to leave our listeners with a few final thoughts. If you take one thing away from this episode, let it be this. You are probably doing so much better than you think you are. And let's be honest, it's not just about what actually works, it's about what feels sustainable. Intensity is exciting, but it leads to burnout. Consistency is what allows you to keep going, day after day, week after week, without completely depleting yourself. It's the long game.
You're judging your messy, complicated, real life against the fictional standard of perfection. Give yourself some grace. You are navigating an incredibly complex world with unprecedented pressures. The fact that you're even thinking about this, that you're trying to grow, is a victory in itself.
Absolutely. And remember that life is not a race. There is no finish line that everyone is sprinting towards. Your timeline is your own. Someone else's chapter 20 has nothing to do with your chapter 5. Focus on your own path, on your own next step. And I think it's also important to acknowledge that this feeling, it doesn't just go away. It's not like you find the cure and you're suddenly immune to it. It's more like learning to manage a chronic condition. You learn to recognize the triggers, you develop tools to cope, and you get better at course correcting when you feel yourself slipping back into old patterns. It's a practice, not a perfection.
And bring it back to that idea of consistency. Small, steady progress will always beat frantic, unsustainable bursts of speed. Just keep showing up. Lay one brick perfectly every day. Soon enough, you'll look back and see you've built a wall, a foundation, a life.
So our challenge to you this week is to pick just one of the strategies we talked about. Maybe it's unfollowing a few accounts. Maybe it's starting a done list. Or maybe it's just taking 10 minutes to sit and breathe without feeling guilty. Be kind to yourself. You are enough, right now, exactly as you are.
That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to The Behavior Code. We'll talk to you next week.